This morning we confront not just a tragedy of war, but an act of desecration, one that tears at the very fabric of Christian history and lays bare the moral bankruptcy of those who would claim to wage a holy war. Let's have a look at one of those twits. Here is one of the people who claims to be waging a holy crusade. On the 10th of June 2025, Russia launched one of its largest air assaults on Kyiv, and among the targets was not a military base, not a strategic bridge, but St. Sophia's Cathedral, the Sacred Heart of Ukrainian Orthodoxy, and a symbol of Eastern Christian civilization. The attack caused damage to the facade of the 11th century church, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, an heir to Byzantium and a monument to the Christianization of the Slavs, and its cornice collapsed under the pressure wave of a Russian drone blast. The Kremlin didn't flinch. Now, to understand why this matters so deeply, we must go back to the year 988 and to Prince Vladimir of Kiev, later canonized as Saint Vladimir, and both the leader of Ukraine and the leader of Russia both share his name. Vladimir accepted baptism in the Dnieper River and converted Keieven Roose to Christianity. This act didn't merely inaugurate religious life, it anchored the political legitimacy of rulers in the moral universe of Byzantium, of Constantinople, of what is now Istanbul. It was a sacred covenant with both heaven and history. And his son Yaroslav the Wise built St. Sophia's Cathedral to rival Hagia Sophia in Constantinople. It was conceived not just as a church, but as a temple of wisdom and identity, and inside there are mosaics older than the Moscow Kremlin. The frescoes depict not war but light, not conquest but grace, and Vladimir himself is buried in Kyiv, not Moscow, and that matters. And this week's bombing cracked not just ancient plaster, but the illusion, the Kremlin's pretense that it is defending Orthodox civilization. Patriarch Kyrill, let's look at him again just so we can see what Satanism actually looks like in reality, has repeatedly framed this war as a metaphysical struggle, even calling it a spiritual defense of the Russian world, Ruski Mir. But what kind of Orthodox faith authorizes missiles to rain down on the house of God and the source, the origins of Russian Orthodoxy? The same regime that declared itself the heir to Kievan Christianity has struck the very monument of that Christian birth. The culture minister, Mykola Tochitsky, said it best: they struck the very soul of Ukraine. I don't think it's just the soul of Ukraine, it's the soul of Russian Orthodoxy. President Zelensky, visibly shaken, has said that this is catastrophic, and he's right. This is not just collateral damage, this is contempt. It's not the first time Russia has bombed a church, but it's the most symbolically egregious bombing. And what does this tell us about Patriarch Kirill's theology? It tells us that the Russian Orthodox Church has become not a custodian of truth, but a chaplain to tyranny. The Patriarch claims to defend traditional Christianity, but he is as silent he's silent about the sacred ground that is shattered. He blesses the conscripts, not the victims. He speaks of crusade, but delivers Golgotha. Can a faith survive such perversion? Kirill's silence in the face of St. Sophia's damage is not just cowardice, it is apostasy investments. And this is from the same church that excommunicated Ukrainians for wanting independence, for daring to pray in their own language, for choosing dignity over subservience. Let me say a little bit about this picture next to me, which is of one of the first films that I fell in love with when I moved to Russia. And it's a film about Prince Vladimir, and it's a wonderful, lively, entertaining film, and it's something I greatly enjoyed, and it's got political overtones. Of course, it was made in 2006. It didn't receive as much widespread international attention as it deserved. It's a beautifully made film, but it remains a cultural artifact in Russia, especially for those interested in Russian history and Orthodox Christianity. And the film contributed to the ongoing dialogue about the role of religion in modern Russia, and it's found its place in the cultural education of younger people. The film blends historical storytelling with spiritual fantasy, and it's just a sort of light-hearted delight in so many ways, but it's beautifully done, and that's one reason why I why I deplore the sort of nonsense of the Kremlin's war effort. Saint Sophia still stands, of course, damaged, yes, but intact, and that's a miracle. In its battered walls, one can read a parable, the parable of a nation that refuses to bow. Russia may possess missiles, but Ukraine holds memory. Moscow may occupy territory, but Kyiv holds the truth. Saint Sophia has weathered Mongols, Nazis, Soviets, and now Putin. This isn't merely a war for the land, it's a war for the narrative and who owns the Christian story in the East. And like every act like this, Russia proves it's no heir to orthodoxy. It is the gravedigger of belief. And let's not be fooled by icons in the Kremlin or psalms on the lips of the Patriarch. Saint Sophia tells us all we need to know. The bombs are real, and the faith in the Kremlin is counterfeit. If there is to be a reckoning, it must begin here, with a recognition that those who bomb cathedrals cannot claim to defend civilization, cannot claim to defend Christianity. They are not soldiers of Christ. They are vandals of history. In the name of Vladimir, in the name of history, in the name of Sophia herself, holy wisdom, let us remember, let us resist, and let us rebuild. Holy wisdom is one of the older titles of God. Holy wisdom, holy immortal. And Patriarch Kirill is a fake bishop with fake credentials and a fake understanding of his Christianity. He needs to be exposed as the charlatan that he is.